Hi everyone! Today we're making tofu and tomato stew. Well, I call it a stew, but actually it's really quick and easy to make. I actually made a video on this recipe probably over 2 years ago, way before my keto days. But I think this recipe really deserves an update because it's that good. And also this is a family dish for me. So this is something my mom always cooked when she came to visit me in London. So it's got a special place in my heart. And particularly now, I think everybody can do with a hug. And for me, this dish is the equivalent of a hug in culinary terms. And this is how I'm sending a big hug to you. Hi, baby.
Well, hello, this is Dolly.
And I think this is the time more than ever we need to consume as much fresh ingredients as possible. Food that makes us feel good and feel strong and boost our immune system. I totally understand the sentiment of wanting to store a bit more food than usual because we're not able to go out as frequently. But there are tons of vegetables that keep really well in the fridge. And, we're going to use 2 of them today. If for any reason you don't want to use tofu or you don't like tofu, I'm going to show you an alternative as well. So let me show you how to make it. The ingredients you need. So when I say simple ingredients, I mean simple ingredients. All these items you probably already have in your kitchen. So the first thing we need is some tomatoes. So these are quite small. These are so cute. And you probably need about 4 to 5 medium tomatoes. And then we need a generous bunch of spring onion. If you watch this channel, you will know this is one of my favorite foods on the planet. I can practically add spring onions to everything. So a generous bunch, and then we need some tofu. So today I'm using silken tofu. I mean, normally I use silken tofu, it's my preference because it's really soft and silky. It works really well with this dish. But any kind of tofu will work. You can use firmer tofu, if that's what you've got. It will still turn out beautifully. But if you don't like tofu or you can't find tofu for any reason, then you can replace it with an avocado. And I'll show you how to make this dish using both. And for seasoning, we're going to use some soy sauce and my favorite toasted sesame oil. And on top of that, some salt. And this is all you need. So the first thing we're going to do is chop the spring onions. So I'm going to just take the tips off at the end and then half the spring onion and then slice the spring onion in small pieces. So you can be pretty rough with it. If your slicing skill is like me, then you can keep it pretty chunky, no problem. These are so fresh. Okay, and transfer them to the side. And then we're going to cut the tofu in cubes. So let me open the packet. One ear off, the other little ear off. This is how I do it. And then just cut the packet onto the side to open up this little flap. And then remove the excess water. And then just gently squeeze the tofu out. It doesn't matter if it breaks a little bit. It's perfectly fine. And then just take a knife and cut it from the side. I mean, you can put it on the chopping board if you want to, but I always do it on my hand. And gently, obviously, cut them lengthwise twice, and then just cut them into kind of cubes shape. And this is it. And then we're going to chop up tomatoes in small cubes. Again, you can be pretty rough with them. We just want them in small pieces, in small cubes. So this is a great dish for people who don't like chopping because you can be really rough with it. We just want them kind of small enough pieces like this. Okay, so that's our tomatoes. And guess what? We're ready to make the dish. Okay, so the cooking part is super easy. So I've got a frying pan here. So first of all, I'm going to add in some oil. You can use coconut oil or any kind of oil you like and turn the heat on. I almost never cook with high heat, so normally medium or slightly above maximum. So give the frying pan a little swirl So I'm going to show you two alternatives with tofu and avocado. So I basically double the amount of my ingredients. So I've got quite a lot of spring onion here. So while the oil is still cold, we're going to add in a whole bunch of spring onion. So you want to save a little bit later for garnishing, but you want to add in plenty of chopped spring onions. And just allow it to cook slowly. I mean, the smell of spring onion and olive oil is just heavenly. And just give it a gentle stir. So we don't want to heat too high because what we want is for the spring onion to release all its flavor without browning or burning. So you can see it's starting to sizzle and it smells fantastic. And this is a good time to add in our tomatoes. So as I said, I've doubled my quantity of tomatoes here. So just pop the whole thing in. Very steamy. That's a satisfying sound. So now we're getting to more sort of a stewing kind of action, and it won't take long. We just want the tomatoes to cook down until they turn into this creamy, mushy kind of mixture. That is so good. Okay, so you can see it's been cooked down slightly. So now we're going to season it. So we're going to add in a dash of soy sauce. This will give it that intense kind of sweet and savory soy sauce taste. And then we're going to add in a pinch of salt. So you need to taste it to decide how much seasoning you want. Okay, it's nice and mushy. And if you want, this is optional. You can add a small pinch of sweetener. Just a small, tiny pinch. Because normally you would add some sugar to counteract the tomato sourness. We can just use a little bit of stevia. So this is looking really good. So I'm going to take out half the portion here because I'm going to show you how to use the tofu and then avocado as well. Okay, so I've transferred half of the tomato mixture to a small frying pan. And then we're going to do the tofu version. So turn the heat to low and we're going to add in our tofu. So remove all the excess liquid before you add it in. So we're going to just gently ease the tofu in because it's so delicate. And then give it a little swirl like that. Maybe give it a gentle stir. And it doesn't matter if the tofu breaks up. It's just the way it is. It'll be nice and gooey, the whole thing. So look at this. The tofu and tomatoes nicely mingle together. And guess what? This is done. Okay, so now onto the avocado version. The only difference between these two versions is just the length of time all ingredients are cooked. So with avocado, what you want to do is thoroughly cook the tomato mixture because we're going to pop in avocados just before finishing. Like now would be a really good time. And turn the heat way low, the lower setting. And then with avocado, what you want to do is to cut them up in small chunks like this. And then just pop the amount you want in there. Okay, I think that's plenty. And then just give it a quick stir. Just allow the sauce to warm up the avocados. We don't want to cook it for a long time, okay? Okay, so this is done. Let's plate up. Let's do the tofu version first. You can eat it with anything you want, but I'm going to eat it with my favorite cauliflower mash. And it's been making appearances quite frequently recently. You know, I just love it. So I'm gonna just take a generous scoop. It's almost like ice cream. Okay, another scoop. And we're gonna just scoop in a generous amount of this tofu stew. It looks so good. And I'm going to drizzle it with some toasted sesame oil. Just a generous amount there. Maybe some for the mash as well. And last but not least, the spring onions. So if you have coriander, it works really well as well. But spring onions is for me. Just scatter some fresh spring onion. So there you go. So that's our tofu and tomato stew. And with the avocado version, I'm going to turn it into almost like a rice bowl. So again, I'm going to take my mash and place a generous amount at the base. This mash is just so good. And then I'm going to take my avocado tomato stew and just pour it on top. Why not? It's much easier. Just pour it on top. And maybe cover the whole lot. And again, we're going to drizzle it with some sesame oil. That is so good. And then our spring onion. There you go. And now it's time to eat. So time to eat. Fork ready? Let's try the tofu stew first. The smell has been inviting me for the last 10 minutes. So I'm going to have a little bit of this mash. Oh, my goodness. My goodness. It is just so good. The sweet and sour tomato and that pungent spring onion flavor is just perfect. And the creamy tofu is just beautiful. You know, it's just so comforting to eat. And let's try the avocado version. So I've got mash at the bottom, an avocado. I know avocado you normally put in the salad, but it's so nice when you warm it through with a stew. So good. So there you go. I hope you liked today's recipe. As you can see, you really don't need complicated ingredients to create really good food that nourishing your body and gives you lots of energy and makes you happy. So I hope you give it a go at home. And as I said in the beginning, this is the time we need wholesome and fresh food more than ever. And particularly for those of you who didn't really have time to cook, this is a great time to start. Cooking can be so therapeutic and we can heal ourselves with the wholesome food we eat. So I hope you give it a go. So follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. And thanks for spending time with me today. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.